Welcome. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. What's going on? Okay, hold on. Give me a second, y'all. All right. We're back now. Thank y'all for coming through a new episode of Lost in the Script TV. Episode 209, Soul versus Simulation. Some sad news to start with. We'll get to that. Shout out to Regina. Peace, love, and Soul Train to Duke in the chat. We'll catch the replay. All right. Hopefully you have a peaceful for the rest of the day, Regina. Get some rest and chill with your family. Regina also says, still shocked and saddened by D'Angelo. Yeah, very sad situation. But like I said, sometimes you got to do the celebration instead of being selfishly, getting sad over someone's passing. We got to celebrate the life that they had. But yeah, we'll get into that. A whole bunch of other stuff to get into. And this episode, Soul versus Simulation, while we lose icons and legends in the space of what we consider Black art and their participation in the creation that the impact they've had in the creation of it and strengthening it, we're also losing the simulation battle. The AI is taking over. The people are coming in trying to replace real artistic expression. And we're going to ask the question, what is soul when it comes to AI? I feel like I've asked this question before. We're going to go into it again. What does that really mean now? Soul. What does that mean? What does it mean, emotion? What does it mean, just appropriation, culture, when it comes to the idea that I can instruct a bot or a simulation to carry out something? Is that expression or is that something else? We'll get to all of that. Just give me a second, make sure everything is clear. Hold on. All right, we can get right into it then. Let's start off, as we were just talking about, D'Angelo, Grammy-winning R&B and soul star, dies at 51 after pancreatic cancer diagnosis. Rest in peace to the legend D'Angelo. Condolences to his family and his children. Like I said in the post, the community post I made, we just lost Angie Stone to a terrible tragedy, and then we find out that he's been battling this for however how long. Apparently for the last 2 weeks, he's been in hospice before he passed. And he was somebody who obviously kept things very quiet and to himself. So it's not a surprise that we didn't know about it as a public, which led to a whole other question that people had about celebrity or people with of this ilk, and should they inform their supporters, or is that something that's just meant to be private? I think it should be private, but people are having other kind of conversations, and we'll get to all that. Hold on. Let me just open it up. The singer came of age in the 1990s with a debut album, Brown Sugar. As we know, Brown Sugar, Voodoo, and then obviously he gave us Black Messiah. 3 albums that were heavily praised for what it did and pushed forth the genre of neo soul. One of the pioneers of it. R&B song singer D'Angelo died Tuesday, leaving behind a legacy of extraordinarily moving music after a prolonged and courageous battle with cancer, his family said. The influential music star born Michael D'Angelo Archer was 51. The shining star of our family has dimmed his light for us in this life, his family said in a statement. After a prolonged and courageous battle with cancer, we are heartbroken to announce that Michael D'Angelo Archer, known to his fans around the world as D'Angelo, has been called home, departing this life today. We ask that you respect our privacy during this difficult time, but invite you all to join us in mourning his passing while also celebrating the gift of song that he has left for the world. D'Angelo, a singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist, is credited with helping popularize neo-soul, a genre of modern R&B and soul flavored with hip-hop, funk, rock, and other influence. Black music. Everything he did was drenched in it, alongside artists such as Lauryn Hill, Maxwell, and Erykah Badu. D'Angelo came of age in the 1990s with his debut album, Brown Sugar, Lady, from that album, topped at number 10 on March 1990, and spent 20 weeks on Billboard Hot 100 chart. But D'Angelo reaches even wilder audience with a 2000 release of his second album, Voodoo, which debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and would go on to win the Best R&B Album Award at the Grammys. The album lead single, untitled How Does It Feel, won the Grammy for Best R&B Male Vocal Performance. The video for the track, which featured a topless D'Angelo filmed and the singer take as he lip synced the song, was played a heavy rotation on MTV and BET. First off, as we all saying, rest in peace. Shout out Craig. Rip D'Angelo. Rest in peace to him. Thank you for the music. Definitely remember as a kid seeing my the women in my family love that video that he made, even though later on he kind of didn't like the image that he gained from that music video. He was one of the artists that ended up living the life that we see that some of the female artists have when they become sex symbols, how they're viewed by men or whatever. He had the same problem with women after that music video, and he said he wanted to go somewhere and get fat because he just didn't like the attention. Yeah, I feel like it seems like he's always been a private person. So, but rest in peace to him. But we got some questions to ask around this too. It is kind of crazy that somebody whose music was so passionate and expressive, he passed from a disease that's quiet and, hard to explain itself at first. Like pancreatic cancer, it's not something that's easy to detect in the earlier stages. So it's kind of ironic that's how he ends up going from something that doesn't express itself immediately. What is his legacy? Obviously, we already know. We're going to get to it later with the Verzuz thing, but I remember when Travis used to have this debate about him and another artist. And when he kept saying in a Verzuz, it would be this person because they make this type of music. That Travis, he makes music that people in his category, they view him as the golden child. Nobody's going to go against him in the Verzuz. And lo and behold, when he finally did his quote unquote Verzuz, it was a solo, D'Angelo and friends pretty much, because there was nobody to go against him or whatever. So he's one of the people that's going to go down as one of the all-time greats and somebody who's had extreme influence on music in general. Music in general lost a lot, but obviously Black people in particular, the music that we have, it lost somebody really important. So that's really unfortunate. Also, get checked. I'm not at that age yet, but we hear all the time about Black men. I don't know his story or whether or not this is something that goes with him, but if you're a Black man, go to the doctor. Try to catch stuff early as you can, because it's already hard enough, and you may as well do what's necessary to keep yourself here as long as possible. You got to take care of yourself. So hopefully, unfortunately, with these type of when people like this pass away in these type of situations, that becomes the new thing. People automatically start telling people go to the doctor and get checked, and that's kind of that. But how many times have we seen these Black men in particular pass away from these diseases? I'm not saying this one is preventable necessarily, because sometimes it's hereditary, something you could do about it. And it's, like I said, it's hard to detect in the earlier stages, but we lose too many people already to things that could be prevented. So if you can somehow get a leg up on something like this, just please go get checked. I also want to say this about, I said earlier about people who decide to keep their private life private. I saw people online saying, hey, it would have been nice for us to know. We could have supported. We could have did this. It would have been nice for us to been prepared for what could have happened. But I think that's being selfish. It's private. His family knew it was a battle he was going through with his family. It was none of your business. Move on. And also, they said at the time during him battling this, he was working on an album with Raphael Sadiq. And that comes into another question. We're going to get to it even further with our next topic, but I want to start with, how do y'all feel about posthumous albums? Those albums that come out when someone's gone and passed, and then the estate or the family or a record label, for that matter, decide to release music featuring this artist. I've never really been a supporter of it. Unless it's written in a will or it's understood by certain people that this person wanted this particular music out, they just didn't make it to release it on their own. I never supported albums coming out after someone's passed away 20 years later, because when they were alive, we heard all the music they wanted us to hear. They dropped it. They put it in album form. They released singles. They did pop-ups around the country and sang for. They let the world hear what they wanted you to hear. And I don't feel like there's any reason once they're gone to continue to release their music outside of, obviously, if you just want to make money. And I just think that it becomes a real nasty game when you're releasing songs that an artist would definitely not want out because it doesn't fit their standards of what they want, but you still release it for monetary reasons. It's just, I don't support it. So hopefully we don't have a situation like that. If it is released, hopefully it's something he wanted to be released. And I trust that his family will probably respect that. And with the loss of this, we also see that we lost another person. Since we're saying that we're at a loss right now when it comes to the artist that can lead the charge for expanding what we already have. You know, you talk about the 90s. I always say the reason why the 90s, people consider the 90s so good, is because you came out of the 80s. Black music, for some reason, our greatest creations come out of our pain. So when you talk about the crack epidemic and all the other stuff that happened in the 80s, and you talk about the 60s when you had the civil rights movement, the next decade gave you great music. And I feel like we just haven't had that type of moment, even though we had in certain situations with obviously George Floyd and Mike Brown and all these other people. A fire hasn't really been lit for the entire demographic. It's been like these one-off situations that people rally behind to try and get justice, but something's missing. There's a certain energy, a certain creativeness just missing from us right now. And people are trying to start it up. You see people running to nostalgia right now and trying to pick up old sounds and remix old stuff. And I don't know. But who will be next? Who could be the person that could do that? Who have we seen introduced to us in the last 5 years that have even that potential to be that creative and help redefine new genres or redefine old genres, or define new genres or redefine old ones? I don't know. So we're in a bad place right now when it comes to the creativeness, but hopefully it heals itself. But anyway, final rest in peace to D'Angelo. Thank you for the music, and rest in peace. All right, next up, we're gonna jump to this here. Hold on, y'all. All right. All right. Verzuz is back. Verzuz been gone for what, 3 years now? The last Verzuz, like, I think it was 2022. I think the article says it. Cash Money and No Limit Records to battle for the pride of New Orleans in an epic Verzuz return. Master P and Birdman stables of talent will go hit for hit at Complex Con in Las Vegas. And that right there immediately made me think, that's unfortunate. How do you have a Verzuz battle when you talk about the history of Cash Money and No Limit, and how that's been you could say there's been some sort of beef or rift between them for decades, both coming out of New Orleans? How do you host this Verzuz in Vegas? Now, obviously, that's where they hold a Complex Con, so that's in the event type thing, so they're trying to make the biggest bang for their buck. But culturally, you definitely should host this in New Orleans. Like, it shouldn't even be a question. But two of hip hop's most illustrious record labels will face off in a battle of classic songs to kick off the return of Verzuz when Cash Money Records and No Limit Records headline the upcoming Complex Con in Las Vegas. Scheduled to take place on October 25th and 26th in the Las Vegas Conventional Center, Complex Con's opening day will end with the anticipated return of the popular live performance platform Verzuz went on hiatus following legal turmoil involving co-founder Swiss Beats and Timberland and former partner Triller. By the way, didn't they also do a deal with Elon Musk and X? Like, did that just fall through, or I don't get what happened? Both founded in the early 90s with their respective leaders, both natives of New Orleans, Cash Money Records and No Limit Records histories are intertwined, and their ties go deeper than average rap rivalry. Founded by Master P, No Limit Records helped shift the landscape of hip-hop by building the independent label into a regional, then national powerhouse. Master P is somebody who should get way more praise than he already gets. And he gets a lot, but the man pretty much gave you straight to DVD. Like, he changed Hollywood movies. He changed how you do music, straight to consumer entrepreneurship. Like, he completely shifted how people do business. With a roster built around himself and a flashing artist, as well as the group True, Silk the Shocker and all them, C Murder. Solo acts Mystical. Is Mystical going to be there? Considering the stuff that he's going through or went through, he's in, could he even, is he in prison right now? I don't even know if he's in prison right now. Then Mia X, she had a beef with him already. I don't even know if she's going to be there. And production team, Beats by the Pound, New Orleans Tank Turmoil. No Limits, Tank Turmoil, Tank rolled in the top of the Billboard charts. Obviously, we know who Birdman and Cash Money is and how they came in, 99, 2000, all those boys. The first thing I got to say, I'm not going to stay on this long, was the positives of Verzuz, looking at we just lost D'Angelo, is we now have a full performance by D'Angelo being praised for his artistic value to what he was. We have him doing full performances. So that's the positive of Verzuz, that all these verses we've seen before they went on the hiatus, the one thing it truly helped was it helped reestablish some of these people as the legends that they are. It helped give them their flowers and give them the respect they deserve. So that's the positive of Verzuz. It's not even about the who's better, who has the better discographies in these verses. It's really about us paying attention to these people that some of them ain't been mainstream or had their name in the headlights in decades even. So that's the positive. The negative is Swiss Beats and Timberland. When they initially sold it, or they said they pretty much did a deal with Triller, because at first they were on Instagram. So it was grassroots. It was them saying, hey, this person's going to be on Instagram Live this week. We're going to have them go versus each other. Who got the hits? Who can do this and that? Who did the real work behind the scenes? It was producers originally. And then it switched to the artists. And then the more it grew, the more they tried to make money off of it. And they started doing deals with these people. And now they want sponsorships. And then they ended up with Triller, and it kind of ended. And now they with Complex, trying to make a bag. And Complex, instead of putting this where it should be in New Orleans, they're putting it in Las Vegas. That's where the convention is. And this is kind of just one of the, Verzuz is not its own entity anymore. It's just kind of a part of Complex now. It's just like a show. It's like a festival now. It's not a real main event anymore. And that's unfortunate. Craig says Master P did give us some classics, although they were awful, and they were awful. I enjoyed them as a kid. Master P got a very strange discography, because on one hand, as a hip hop fan, especially if you like certain type of hip hop, when you listen to Master P, it wasn't very good rap music. It might have been, it's a little bounce to it, got good beat selection sometimes, or sometimes it sounded very not well produced sometimes, I'll be honest. But it sounded good, especially when you're not expecting much of Master P as a rapper. And in his verses, let's be honest, most people don't have No Limit having a damn chance in hell at making this really competitive outside of maybe a couple songs. You got Bout It, Down for My Niggas, stuff with Mystical maybe, if they decided to play it. They got some, obviously, Silk the Shocker. Master P got about 3 of them that you got to deal with. The other ones you got to deal with. So, but Cash Money just got more, obviously. But the part I was getting to is this right here. Outside of who gonna be there and stuff, and the legacy or money, they pretty much turned this, like I said, into just a money maker. This is just a festival. You get hired to do a show, you get paid, go home. It's not about cultural. It's not a cultural thing anymore, really. Complex is a part of it now. It's kind of shifted. And Timberland is it's definitely shown itself with Timberland because he's went even further with the AI stuff he's doing now. And I'll get to that next. And I don't expect much from Swiss Beats, no offense, but looking at his lineage background, it kind of makes sense. It is what it is. But like I said, the reason why the reason why Verzuz even worked to begin with is because of nostalgia. Particularly millennial adults typically listen to a lot of this music, and because the newer stuff ain't hitting the same way to a lot of people, when you bring the stuff back, it's like the millennial tour going on right now with Bow Wow and them, or was going on with Omarion and Bow Wow and them. That music to a lot of people ain't getting made no more, so that you have to go to the older people, in order to get the sound you want. But it is what it is. We'll see. I definitely will be watching it. I don't know. Hold on, make sure with the road. Yeah, I will watch it if we can. Disappointed where it's been located at, but it is what it is. They got to make their money. That's what they focus on right now. It is what it is. Or too harsh. That's not fair. That's not fair, but kinda. I guess you could say masterpiece to some people. Like some people like, excuse my language, ass shaking music, bounce music. Like it's not maybe taken too serious. The lyrics, he's just speaking real facts on the song. He's not trying to rhyme every word with multi-syllable rhymes and all these metaphors and similar. He's not doing all that. Some people like the real rap over some bounce beat that they can dance to. But it's like a guilty pleasure or a guilty joy you get from it sometimes. It's like some of that music you hear from back in the day where you just meant to just dance. It's not meant to be taken that serious. It's not a bad thing. There needs to be balance. The problem is we have oversaturation of that music now and not enough of the other stuff. So you need balance anyway. Some music meant to be fun, others meant to be taken serious, and some things meant to make you think, feel. As we were talking about D'Angelo, some things are meant to make you feel something. Others are just meant to make you happy. One emotion, that's it. Speaking to emotion, and a lot of people feel the emotion of anger because of Timberland. Timberland debuts AI artist TaTa Taktumi first music video, and as expected, and it's as soulless as you expected it to be. Let me play this little clip of Timberland and his AI artist. Hold on. Now, especially amongst the music people for the last year, this talk about AI and music has grown tremendously. It's a big talking point. You had the producer Alchemist doing some AI stuff. Any artist that uses AI for their album covers or music covers, they get preached to and people on their ass about it. But it's so crazy that Timberland a little while ago said that music today feels soulless. And then he goes and he goes and create and signs, quote unquote, an AI artist on a label. I think it's called Stage Zero. And part of me feels like Timberland is doing this almost as a public experiment for a person to say, "Hey, man, it's so soulless in music right now. Nobody's doing anything that means anything." And for that same person to go to the furthest extent to prove how soulless it is. Look, y'all ain't really cared about me as a producer in a while. So I'm gonna go work with this AI artist. Y'all gonna talk about it. Y'all gonna listen to the music. I'm gonna prove to y'all that this is what you want to hear. You want to hear soulless music. You want to hear something that don't mean anything. So maybe it's a social experiment in his way. Maybe it's him just giving up on the industry in general. And I hear a lot of people saying music is dead. The industry killed it. It's over. What's the old saying? It's dead and stinking. and that these artists and producers are going to have to find another way to make money. And maybe Timberland is trying to get ahead of something that he know the labels are already doing. I think we've been listening to AI music for decades now. At least for the last 15, maybe 20 years, we've already heard AI on songs. But yeah, Craig said, let's be honest. Any weirdos are going to only weirdos are going to listen to this shit. Well, it's not about who listens to it now. It's about who's talking about it. He's been getting backlash on this for the longest. He don't care because it's the social currency is now the likes and the retweets, and it's talking about it. Do you really care about the music? You say you do, but what you listen to, what you promote, what you stream, what you purchase, says you don't really care anymore. The labels are able to push some artist on you, and within 6 months, you make them a household name. They have no talent. You say the music trash, but you purchasing it, you streaming it, you using it in all your videos on TikToks and Instagrams. You helping them get more streams. You're making them more money. So do you really care about the actual art? All right, well, now when I do this and you get so mad and up in arms about it, you look like a hypocrite. Because when they put somebody like, and this is just being honest, when they put somebody like Ice Spice in front of you, and no offense to her, she's just not a rapper. She's not an artist. She's not. But they could put somebody in front of you, market them, sell them to you. You help make them more famous. Did you really care about the art? So how can you get mad at me for working with a AI artist? At least we know that a human wrote it. We know a human had to actually put the code in for the algorithm from all this. Somebody had to actually create this, a human. Because AI at this point is not advanced enough, at least not the public ones that we use, to create something out of thin air. You have to tell it what to use, and then it goes around the social media or whatever and gets ideas from things already created. So if I say I want to hear a Southern Black American singing jazz from but I want this the year to be 1920s, it's gonna go to that. It's gonna go to social media. It's gonna search across the entire internet and find 20s music, jazz, Black American, and it's gonna create something. Which is why Timberland was also accused of stealing beats, because when you program these things to make beats and lyrics and stuff, it takes from what already exists. It doesn't create stuff because it's stealing. Which is why people start talking about plagiarism is a big deal in AI and all that stuff, and we're gonna get to them banning that because they're using that for people's likeness to get numbers and money. But Timberland, who debuted the first music video with an AI music artist, TaTa, or TT, however you want to say it. And like the headline says, it's as soulless as you expect it to be, which is something the award-winning producer, rapper previously said was about real music. The song is called Glitching Pulse, which I don't know, for a computer masquerading as a person. That's just a little on the nose, not to be either delusionally unintentional or a pointed jab at the haters, which is why I think it's the latter. I think it's on purpose. Virginia says, transhumanism music era. Well, yeah, that's a good point. Transhumanism, because that's a great point. If I write the lyrics, and this goes back to the question about what is soul, what is human. If I write the lyrics to something, right, and then I program an AI to say it, is the AI expression emotion? Because it's me that wrote it, and I had emotion. I showed some type of passion in writing it, but I have this AI singing it. Is that expressing something? In the same way that Timberland is getting backlash, also on top of it being AI, he chose an Asian looking AI, Asian woman looking AI. And it's like, well, why do you have an Asian woman AI character doing hip hop or whatever you want to call this? Would that not be considered some level of what they call cultural appropriation? What is that? And how far will that go? Train hippie in the music era. Wow. So that's a good point when it comes to that. In my opinion, like I said earlier, I think we've already been hearing this and listening to this through the radio and stuff. They've already been doing this. They're just being more public about it. And now that they're not in the business of making artists anymore, marketing them, training them, teaching them how to be in interviews, creating a whole persona for them now. They're not into that business. When they find you, you need to already have a platform of followers. You need to already have an image. You need to already be easy to market. And if I can now just go right past the humans and go straight to what y'all say, what the same image we have created to tell you what's cool, we can use AI to create that now instantly. We ain't got to search for it. We can make it. It's just easy money at that point. Out of sheer conviction, I'm choosing not to include a video of the piece, but you watched the whole thing on YouTube, yada, yada, yada. Back in June, it was announced that Timberland has signed TaTa to a new label, Stage Zero, which is designed to blend human creativity with AI-based sounds to force new music genres as something called A-pop, which is unnecessarily short for AI pop. Or K-pop. K-pop, all they did was steal from 90s R&B and pop. So what's the difference? That's why he chose an Asian, I believe. I'm going to keep saying, I'm going to give Timberland the benefit of the doubt and say he's doing this to antagonize people. Really, the writing was on the wall here because just a few months prior, Timberland went on an Inner Court podcast and stated that he finds new music artists to be very uninspiring, their music soulless, citing the 2024 presidential election as the reason and saying that he thinks AI can do it better. You could feel the pressure of dividedness and hate that the whole election divided us. Timberland said that at the time. What I mean by that is it has divided the music. The music sounds bland. It sounds boring. It lacks excitement. While we frequently discuss AI, I believe it's the only entity that embodies a genuine soul right now. It allows for an expression of true feelings, resulting in it coming out beautiful. I feel like right now everything is discombobulated, he went on to add, which aligns with everything in the world. Ain't no song right now, you gotta admit it, that's grabbing you. Ain't no theme song for people's lives. Well, there was a song. Shout out Kiefer. There was a song that definitely was speaking for people. We won't get to it later. It seemed like Not Like Us was speaking for more than just one demographic. But this is, with most due respect, a profoundly ridiculous take. I mean, for one example, is this song, the AI mentions Doechii by name. Does Timberland think Doechii's music is soulless? Are her lyrics bland and boring? Just this year, she dropped 2 platinum charting singles, Denial of the River and Anxiety, which just based on data available is clearly grabbing people. Doechii is the less than 1% of the chance you see this. I apologize for dragging you further in. That's them talking about Doechii, whatever. Akiva says, he's never been the same once Aaliyah died. Yeah, I've heard that critique too. Leah died, and once the Justin Timberlake fire kind of started dropping a little bit, what's his name, Nelly Furtado, all those people, when he was doing that dance electric type sound, he's kind of not been able to really get a footing in the new era, the modern era. You say post 2015, 2014, I might say 2010. He hasn't really been a big name in the music amongst the newer acts. I think J. Cole got a beat from him that became a big song in on his album The Off Season. That was what, 2022, 2021 that was released. So Timberland ain't really been Timberland kind of been cold for a little while now. So him doing this type of stuff is not a surprise. Ain't nobody really calling him for beats. And Justin Timberlake, he tried to get on his white dude shit. He tried to get on his country / R&B sound. So yeah. Keeper, isn't Doechii a plant? I don't think so. I've seen people saying that. I know recently Joe Budden inferred it a little bit. He didn't go deeper into it, and he got some backlash for that. I don't think so. I mean, if she is, it's the most elaborate plant I've ever seen. When you got 8 years of somebody's documented life on social media, them saying they want to do music, them doing music, them starting out on tours, opening for people. I mean, everything she's done is what a starving artist does. So I don't know. Now, if you say she's a plant from a standpoint of her political or social beliefs and her maybe getting a bump and mainstream push, that might be real. But as far as her talent and actually working her way to being an artist, there's evidence of that. Now, whether or not if she got a bigger bump because of the stuff she said politically and socially, then yeah, we might could say that might fit. But then you ask the question, well, what is a plant then? If an industry can pick somebody and just pluck them and tell everybody to like them, is that a plant, or is it a person who works their way up, but they get a boost because they align themselves with certain agendas? Which is both plants, or is it one or the other? I don't know. But yeah, the Timberland situation, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that he's antagonizing. He's not really taking this too serious. I don't think he expects this to go too far. And what do y'all think? Is this AI thing just a little trendy thing that's going on right now? Do you believe that this is something that's going to continue to grow? We saw a couple, like 2 years ago, was it one of those record labels tried to create an AI artist that resembled Tekashi 6ix9ine looking little biracial dude with the cop on his neck or whatever. And they got rid of it because it got backlash. It was too early. But now you got a quote unquote black man doing it. Will it be validated a little bit? I don't know. Keeper says he's very talented. I agree with the social and political agenda. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Now, if you're saying that the social and political agenda is why she's getting a bump and why she's getting invited to fashion shows and stuff, agreed. She's already connected herself to certain causes and agendas, so she'll definitely get further. But I think she's talented and she's actually good. So I wouldn't call her a plant. I'll say she's getting a push because of an agenda. I'll say it like that. Craig says, I don't see it going too far. Maybe not, but we don't know. I mean, we've been complaining about the new artists for the last decade. And if the label is saying that and they cutting back on all these people at these executives are getting cut left and right at the record labels, and they're saying we don't need A&Rs and we don't need these people. It's kind of writings on the wall that they're going another direction. It's not to say they'll only have AI artists and no artist will ever be able to make a song and get popular and make money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's going to be a lot of cutbacks, obviously. What up, Word Will? Oh, is that Word on Will? Word on Will. Somebody setting Timbo to get AI stuff over. Oh, puppeting. Somebody is puppeting Timbo to get this AI stuff over. I just said it. The record label started it 2 years ago. They got backlash because it looked crazy that this label is putting together a looking biracial, weird looking artist, AI artist, dealing with police brutality and acting like a jackass. That's a weird image to paint for this label. So they got rid of it. And now they're using Timberland to kind of repackage it a little bit. Or Timberland, like I said, is just being an asshole and publicly doing this to mock the artist he thinks is trash and they're not working with him. People say it's here to stay. I agree, at least in some capacity. I've seen producers, like I said, Erykah Badu and Alchemist use AI a little bit. I think when you get the neo soul earthy people using AI and defending it, it was Kanye West. He had 2 albums. Was that last year? 2 albums, Vultures, where he used AI on both albums. Like, so I think for a lot of people, it's here. But I got one last question with the AI thing as far as this right here. We can talk about the bad parts of it and where it don't work and yada yada yada, why it shouldn't exist, how it's kind of effing up the Island Boys. Yeah. It's kind of messing up things, but is there ever a time where you support the use of AI? What would be a situation where you would support the use of AI? In my case, earlier I talked about posthumous albums. I talked about D'Angelo was working with Raphael Sadiq apparently before he passed away. And there's assumption that that 4th album he was working on, especially now that he's passed away, may definitely get released as just a remembrance type thing. You know, he passed away. He was already working on his album. We want to release it. Would you support Mobb Deep with Nas and what's Mass Appeal? They just released a Mobb Deep album where they use AI to voice what's his P's verses. I think what's his name? God, hold on, y'all. I forgot his name. State Property rapper Benny Siegel. Benny Siegel just did it. He's alive, obviously, but his voice, because of the illness he's going through or went through, he lost his he can't through an injury. I'll say it like that. He lost the ability to speak the way he did. He don't sound the same. So he used AI in a recent rap song to be able to rap his verse so he can sound like the old him. I think I support that. I don't know if P from what's the name would have supported being used by AI, considering he was a very conspiracy type person. That's kind of crazy. But Benny Siegel situation, I support. I'm using it. I'm alive, and I'm using it to make my voice sound the way it's supposed to sound before the injury I suffered. I don't know if I support it when someone passes away using AI, but I think if you're alive and you just simply had an injury or something of that sort, and you can use AI to just sound the way you normally sound, you writing the verses still, it's still you. I support it that way, I believe. I believe. Regina says AI music is here to stay and it's the new cycle. Keeps head no. And she said, as a background track, maybe. So you okay with AI being used to do background vocals on an artist's song, doing a little bit of what about the bridge or whatever? Hooks? You okay with the hook being done by AI? Or is that out of line? But yeah, I think injury-based usage. I'm sick. I'm injured. I can't sing or rap. I don't have the breath control that I used to have. I don't sound the way I used to sound because of whatever reason. I think I'm okay with AI usage. Death is a weird one. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about if somebody passes away, if you should be able to use AI to make unless of course they're okay with it. If they passed away in the last couple of years and they said they're okay with AI, they were supportive of it, they was okay with you using it for their music or their art, cool. But it goes back to the question people had about the movie Fast and Furious, when what's his name died, and they put his brother in the movie and used CGI to put his face in the movie. It's like, that's AI. That wasn't him. That was AI in the movie that played him in a movie. Is that okay? He was dead and they still put him in the movie. So we'll see. We're definitely going to be something that's going to be a bigger thing going forward. People says it depends on how good the beat is. If it sound good, you with it. Yeah, I get it though. You definitely don't want to hear a whole verse by AI. I want to hear a real human expression, the passion and emotion in their verses, especially R&B. Even more so than hip hop. R&B definitely. You got to hear every part of that voice to really feel the music. So I get it. But then again, the beats are AI. The beats are created and generated through AI. So it's all over the place. But anyway, speaking a little bit more on this AI topic, we're going to move to this. OpenAI puts a stop to Martin Luther King Jr. SORA memes after backlash from his estate. So recently there's been a real bump in people using this SORA, which is a part of OpenAI, to create, you can use AI to just generate an entire video now. You can type in a celebrity or any person, tell it to say something, do something, whatever you want to do in a video, and it'll generate it on its own. So people were using this to do memes with Martin Luther King Jr. I'm going to show some now. Let me play. Some of these are just meant to be funny, but they're not super serious. So this is Martin Luther King in an AI video getting a slushie from a convenience store.
Sir, you still have to pay for the slushie.
My sister, I have a dream that one day this slushie will be free for all who thirst.
Sir, hey, sir, this isn't about dreams. It's about paying for your slushie.
So this is what it was creating. I got a few more.
Yeah, the sky ain't here full of stars, but I keep the dream on my neck. You see it? Ice heavy, heart steady. Got the vision and the paper, both in hand. People thought freedom was free. Nah, we pay for it, we grind for it, we shine for it.
As you can see, that was Martin Luther King sitting in a Maybach. I have a dream meme. There was a whole page. And now these people were also profiting from this. Let's keep that in mind. They were also probably keep laughing. People are also using this to make money. And obviously the app that you have to pay for the subscription in order to do this. So the question became, damn, y'all are using these memes to make money. So you're using the likeness of actual people to create AI to make money. Craig laughing too. Like I said, some of them were funny. Now you know certain demographics they did it to try and be nasty with it or be racist. So it goes without saying that existed. They also had one with I couldn't find it again. They had one where Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were battle rapping.
Will be free for all who thirst.
Sir, hey, sir, this isn't about.
They had Martin Luther King and Malcolm X battle rapping, which was kind of funny. Let me show one more. Let me show one more of these. Hold on.
You want to know the truth? I ain't got no dreams no more.
I am the dream. Did he just say that?
The crowd is turning
This
on
is
him.
unbelievable.
They turned him to a wrestler. Oh Lord. But that was fire though. I can't lie. I got one more. I'm gonna show of Martin Luther King AI. This is him on a college campus.
You can go to Durham and get shot, or you can come to the greatest homecoming on earth and have a dream, a wet dream, Aggie Pride.
That was. He said you can go to Durham and get shot.
You can go to Durham and get shot, or you can come to the greatest homecoming on earth and have a dream, a wet dream, Aggie Pride.
So basically, most people was using it in jest. It was just fun. I don't like when you take. I'm not the biggest fan of them taking people like Martin Luther King and turning them into jokes online, because that can be very impactful. Because perception becomes reality fast online, and we know what road it would have went down very quickly with Martin Luther King in these videos. They would have started doing all type of other stuff and create narratives. But I want to show. Let me finish reading this article. When we first tested SORA, the new AI video app from OpenAI, we noted that the app's social feed was full of memes depicting Martin Luther King Jr. On a Thursday, OpenAI announced that it has now paused the ability for users to create AI-generated videos featuring the likeness of civil rights icon. In the year 2025, deepfakes like this are a well-known problem, and is frankly predictable issue to arise. The move comes after critical comments from the King family, who objected to the offensive depictions of the American hero on SORA. The estate of Martin Luther King Jr., King Inc., and the OpenAI have worked together to address how Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s likeness is represented in SORA generations. Some users generated disrespectful depictions of the King's image, so at King Inc. request, OpenAI has paused generations depicting Dr. King as it strengthens guardrails for historic figures. While there are strong free speech interests in depicting historical figures, OpenAI believes public figures and their families should ultimately have control over how their likeness is used. Authorized representatives or estate owners can request that their likeness not be used in SORA cameos. Well, remember, in America, there's always been this battle over who controls the likeness of somebody when they're alive and when they're dead. If I'm not mistaken, after a certain amount of years, 80 to 70 years, listen, after about 80 to 70 years, I can't remember the number exactly, you no longer own your likeness if you are like a celebrity. Like all those Disney actors and actresses from back in the day, Disney owns all their likenesses. So if Disney wanted to take their faces, use deepfake or AI to put them in a movie today, they have the right, they own it. They literally own their likeness and faces. That's why after 50 years, if I'm not mistaken, all music is open to the public. You can now put it in your music. That's why any song from the 50s or 60s, you can put in your YouTube videos on whatever, and it won't get struck because it's public domain now. It's owned by the public, can use it. The same thing is about to happen. I think the 70s and 80s, or the 80s is about to be able to be. They're about to open that up. The 70s and 80s soon, which is why everybody's saying you're about to see music do a lot of flips of beats and stuff, because that generation of R&B and soul music is about to be open to the public to be able to redo and be free. So the question becomes the free speech topic. Is it against people's free speech or freedom to do this type of stuff to create AI images on public figures? And if we're going to do it for Martin Luther King Jr., does that now mean we got to do it for everybody? Because if you're just doing this with Martin Luther King, then the question is going to be asked about every other celebrity or icon. Are you allowed to use their image in this same AI generation? Craig says, so what they're trying to do when people start doing this with Trump and Netanyahu. So where are they going? Oh, what are they going to do when they start doing this with Trump and Netanyahu? Well, that's the question. If you're doing it with Martin Luther King Jr., who's a public iconic figure, you're going to do the same thing with the Trumps and Netanyahus and all those people who y'all don't like, or you don't like now, at least. Well, Will said, I think all humans should get a check from AI companies, even if it's a penny. It is being trained off of your contributions. Agreed. and your likeness. If you got a video, a picture, anything online, you are in the database. You can be used and referenced. So that's why you have a lot of people who are public, at least public figures, who are trademarking not just their faces and names, and that they're doing it to their voice, everything. Like I get up here and talk all these weeks, your voice can be just flat out taken from you if you technically don't own it, because I'm putting this on a public platform. People can just use your voice, use your likeness of all types. So I do think there should be some form of restrictions, because it's getting to a point where it's so expected. Now it's easy to tell right now when something is an AI generated video, but it's getting better very quickly. Oh, what up, Honorable? But yeah, so they was able to get it taken down. I mean, at least get it to pause the generations from Martin Luther King Jr. But now the question is, like I said, will they do it for other people? So we shall see. That will come down to some type of unlikely. Let me just go to the next topic. And they feel like we got to end to this. Hold on, give me a second. Should be the end of this part of the story, at least. Judge dismisses Drake's Not Like Us defamation lawsuit against UMG. Now, this was dismissed a little while ago, like a week ago or something. This case was dismissed finally. The judge pretty much said that this is non-actionable opinion. You can't sue for this. He also made a point out, in New York, you can't sue for harassment. You can't sue, put a civil case on a harassment case in New York. You have to go criminal. Which is, I would have thought New York would definitely allow you to sue somebody for money if they harass you. But Drake sued his record label this year over his promotion of Kendrick Lamar's diss track. A federal judge has dismissed Drake's defamation lawsuit against Universal Music over Kendrick Lamar's diss track Not Like Us. The ruling marks the legal culmination of the prolific feud between Drake and Lamar, has spanned much of 2024 when the two rappers dropped a slew of tracks aimed at each other. In January, Drake, with her name is Aubrey Drake Graham, sued his label in the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of New York, accusing UMG of defaming him by promoting Not Like Us, which contains lyrics accusing him of being a pedophile. Lamar was not named as a defendant in the suit. UMG, which represents both Drake and Lamar throughout different divisions, fired back in March with a motion to dismiss, claiming the suit was no more than Drake's attempt to save face for his unsuccessful rap battle with Lamar. In her decision on Thursday, U.S. District Judge Jeanette Vargas granted the record label's motion to dismiss, stating that the alleged defamation statement in Not Like Us is non-actionable opinion. The issue is the case is whether Not Like Us can reasonably be understood to convey a factual matter that Drake is a pedophile or that he is engaged in sexual relations with minors. The judge stated in the decision, in light of the overall context in which the statement and the recordings were made, the court holds that it cannot. It's a rap battle, Negro. Ha ha. Simpsons laugh. Like, this case is just, and I haven't spoke about it much because I just became disinterested with like whatever. I'll just wait and see what happened. But I still don't understand. I think I gave Drake so much of a benefit of the doubt. I said there's no way he's just doing this out of anger and emotion. He has to have a reason he's doing this. There has to be a goal to this, because everything we saw, and I'm no lawyer, but I just said there's no way this can really go to trial and really be a real threat, because you invited a rap battle, and the judge made sure, because I think it's called a Pelican's Briefs. I might be saying that wrong, where a third party came in who specialized in the cultural identity of hip hop and black culture and how it works in the field of law. I can't remember exactly what they were, but they basically gave the judge a rundown to talk about, hey, using rap lyrics in court is racist. Now, whether or not you agree with it or not that's on your opinion. That pretty much what they were saying. They were professors and all that other stuff. So the judge had to use the context that this is a rap battle amongst hip hop culture. It'd be crazy for us to give you a legal win outside of that when the context is when it is within it. It just doesn't make. It just never made sense. I don't know if his whole point was to try and get sympathy. I don't know if his whole point was I'm going to sue to prove I'm not a pedophile. Was and the judge even said, proving you never being convicted of being with a minor is not proof that you're not a pedophile. Obviously, because if you don't get caught, then you still doing it, but you just didn't get caught. So he just made a whole bunch of mistakes the last couple years. I just don't understand. Honorable says the attorneys are embarrassing at this point. We'll be suing them as well. Well, the attorneys that he got are the number one defamation firm in the country. Like they this is their special. They deal with defamation cases. They're the number one. They're worth their penny. He spent a good grip. As a matter of fact, the Bigger Picture podcast had a phone call with TMZ, that dude who runs TMZ, the Jewish dude, and the black dude there. You know, he's a lawyer. He's in the field that field, and he said that Drake probably has spent millions on this case. He said there was no way his lawyers told him he had a chance to win this, that an appeal is pointless. Like, what's the point? The appeal will get shot down, and that because people started asking the question, should he have sued Kendrick the entire time? Should he ever have went after UMG, or should he have went after UMG and Kendrick? And he was like, it was going to be the same thing, because the judge made sure in their decision to say just that this case is a fluke versus UMG and against Kendrick. Like either way, it doesn't work. So yeah, the judge got rid of it. But the question I will ask though is, some people, I'm not gonna say we, some people didn't support the lawsuit because they felt like it was trying to censor hip hop and what we could say in our music, because it went further than just a diss track. Now it becomes, well, if I get on a song and I say something about a politician or some other public figure, can they get this censored because it defames them? You know what I mean? Artistic expression means that it's some hyperbole going on here. I can go a little further than the actual truth to prove a point. So this case, a lot of people feel like saved, quote, helped continue the free speech in hip hop. Others feel like it opened the door for people to go further than they should. And I'm saying, is there any context of somebody saying anything on a song that you don't support? Because let's be honest, if this case goes through, as I said before, there would have been so many lawsuits against these record labels for pushing these songs that caused rap beef, which led to murders. All those mothers and fathers of those Chicago drill artists, all those mothers and fathers of those Florida rap artists, Georgia, Gary, Indiana, Philly, New Jersey, New York drill scene, California with all the gang violence there. So if you let this case get through, all those parents, all those family members, wives and children would have been able to sue these labels for allowing songs to go out that led to actual violence, not a threat of it, actual violence. And they would have been able to hold UMG responsible for the lyrics that they allow these rappers to say. So they were never going to let that get through on their part. They were going to do everything they could because we're not going to pay out the billions we would have owed. So you have to make it where either there's the line has to be very, very hard to reach because it would have cost them a lot of money. And on the other hand, this is why it's a weird double-edged sword thing, because while I don't care about this case from a Drake standpoint with this battle, I also don't support UMG. I think they should be held responsible for some of the stuff they've allowed to be put out and some of the stuff they've pushed and marketed through their music, which has led to actual death and violence. So it was a weird situation where Drake somehow made UMG the person people rooted for when they both were the villain in this situation. So it is what it is, but congratulations on that. And we'll see what his next move is. I guess we'll be getting the album. It's called Iceman. Even though I've been seeing people say that was supposed to drop like Friday out of nowhere, but he decided not to, and he pushed it back to the 25th or something. They say he might push it back again. I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff going on with that. I keep saying that there's no way he is really reacting to the public this way. It has to be a greater plan, but it looks like it is exactly what it looks like. So look like he's scared. It just look like he's scared at this point. Next up, we're gonna run through this right quick. Because there's a point I want to make. This last part about black art, because I've been thinking about and watching content and reading stuff with these so-called black academics that has annoyed me a lot. Let me show this. Now, the original post said this. This is a post on social media. Somebody said, too many artists today are scared to proclaim themselves as black artists who make black music. Like, yes, everybody enjoys D'Angelo, but we knew he was for it. We know who he was for. It was in his imagery, the layers of vocals, the lyrics, the way you had to study the words after feeling the song. So he put his actual beliefs in his music along with the feelings he had, obviously. And somebody had this to say. I reject the term black music because it implies that black creatives are monolithic, which we are not. I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of people saying that. We are, we contain multitudes. That's why icons like Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, and Duke Ellington rejected similar labels. They understood their art transcended genetics. There's these things with these people that want to consider themselves intellectuals or academics where there's this desire to be seen as more than black. And on one hand, I can kind of understand if you're talking about moving in certain fields and the idea of success and what it means. You can say, I'm not just this. But the purpose of saying black music is to make sure that it's gatekept. Is to make sure that it's understood who this is for and who this is by. When you got a demographic that has constantly had their art and their created things they've created, inventions stolen from them, cheated out of, then yeah, we're going to make sure we define certain things, put a line around it. Because it's hard to, if you really want to be honest with it, it's hard to take claim to a sound. I mean, you could do it first, but if other people do it and some people might do it better, it's hard to say it's mine though. So what you have to do is make sure that a group or demographic or whatever is able to let it be known, this comes from here, this is ours. If people outside of this do this, we must check them and let it be known that it is ours. To not want the term black music because you want people to be quote unquote bigger than black music is silly. Michael Jackson, you can say he said those comments about black music, but did you ever hear his words in interviews about black stuff? When you hear people talk about Michael Jackson, he very much understood where black people were in his country and in his world. And he kind of showed it in some of his music. So I don't think that quite goes along with it. So just wanting it to be called music I don't understand the thing with that. Honorable says, I hate these type of people. How are you triggered by black music, but getting majority black dollar, black culture, and imagery? Exactly. Everything in it is black, but we shouldn't call it black. It's okay to center a certain demographic if it's yours at least. That's okay. And I'm gonna get further into that later, but I just wanted to point it out with people not wanting to gatekeep and wanting everything to be under one umbrella for everybody. Rainbow Coalition. It's funny because somebody asked him, is he Nigerian? He said no. Here we go. Let me go to the next thing. Oh, black. That. Australia's highest court rejects Candace Owens' visa challenge. Australia's highest court on Wednesday rejected U.S. conservative commentator Candace Owens' bid to overturn an Australian government decision barring her from visiting the country. Three high court judges unanimously rejected Owens' challenge to the Horns Affairs Ministry Tony Burke decision in 2024 to review her visa on character grounds. Owens had planned to begin a speaking tour in Australia last November and also visit neighboring New Zealand. Burke used his powers under the Migration Act last October to refuse her visa because she failed the so-called character test, court documents said. Burke found there are there was a risk Owens could incite discord in the Australian community, and refusing her visa was in national interest. As a political commentator, author, and activist, Owens was known for her controversial and conspiratorial views. Now, this obviously became a conversation about free speech and public interest. Now, the reason why they don't want to come to the country is she's saying it's suppression of dissent. When you go against government or go against certain things that people are telling you is the right way to go, and they want the public to just fall in line with what's going on. And the government is saying that this is actually public interest. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, defense of social order, which sounds very Orwellian. I can't lie. It's kind of on the nose there. We're not going to let you come here because this hate speech will lead to violence, even though we haven't shown that it will. It's just talking at this point. But it is what it is. The point, they did the same thing to Kanye, if I'm not mistaken. So in this, the conversation, like I said, became the free speech, public interest thing. But also, I think it would be hard to not support a government from controlling who comes to their country, who they think would cause problems. But it is kind of crazy to ban pretty much public speakers or influencers. To ban those people because they're going to say something to cause discord within the country or the community, Australian community, is kind of extreme. I'm surprised it didn't get flipped, but also they said that Australia's whatchamacallit isn't the same as America. America, free speech is something that they have bled over in this country. In their country, free speech does not go over public interest. So if the public would benefit from this not happening or being said, they're allowed to ban it over there. In America, if it leads to a riot, whatever it leads to, it don't matter. You're allowed to say it. So it's different governments, different rules. And Candace, she's been under a lot of heat. I don't know how deep I'm gonna go into it, but she said if something happened to her, she got something that'll pull the plug and expose some things, videos and text messages she released with certain other things. There's threats for another lawsuit against her by people that were associated with Charlie Kirk. But if you're gonna ban her for what she say, I know one country that I've seen do it a lot is the UK. The UK I've seen ban a lot of people. Yeah, dead man switch, Kiefer. Yeah, thank you. She said she got a dead man switch for him. She said Kanye, if I'm not mistaken, sent her files of stuff and said if something happened to him, release it. Honorable said she pump faking. Well, that's the first thing you should do. If you're a public figure and you do know some stuff, that's the first thing I say. Hey, I got stuff on people. If something happened to me, just know that it'll be exposed to the public at this time, this many hours later. If you don't hear from me this much time, it is what it is. Keeper said, I believe her. It depends on it depends on what you believe the information is. If you believe the information is going to expose people for being like traffickers or human traffickers or expose people for certain crimes, no, I don't think she has that. I do believe she has proof of people being connected to people that wouldn't look good for their public image. And she just simply, because some stuff you got to put in your back pocket. You know, that's the way of that's the way the CIA, that's the way they move. That's the way the Mossad move. All those agencies, you got to make sure when you get information, some things you don't tell immediately. You keep it in your back pocket for protection. That's the way all the politics move. Your politicians, everything in Washington D.C., information is the most important thing. Who has the most information? Who has the most secrets on the people around them? That's the person who's going to probably be the top dog. That's the person who's going to get voted as House Speaker. The person who has the most secrets, or the right secrets, should I say? Not the most secrets, the right secrets with the right people. But that's how it goes. I'm sure she got into some of the tiny hats. Oh yeah, that's why she be on them. That's why she's so willing to say certain things about them, because she got some info on them. So if they go too far, she got something she can drop to nuke them. But yeah, I'm not surprised about her getting banned. Also, part I mentioned earlier. Yeah, Candace Owens, conspiracy theory victim, considering defamation lawsuit over Charlie Kirk claims. I'm talking to lawyers. Now I did see. I'm not going to go into I'm not going to read the article, but she's pretty much saying that this guy knew about the threats against his life and order he knew something about his death. I seen a lot of we talked about this last week. I seen it, or the week before last, I think. We saw we saw some of the Charlie Kirk supporters kind of flipping on his wife. They're accusing her of being a Zionist and stuff. So she's stuck on this. She's saying that they knew some stuff. She's saying that some Tiny Hats had something to do with this because he was exposing them or whatever. So that story is continuing, and now she's getting a lawsuit threat against her again. I haven't seen much updates on the lawsuit from Macron and his wife. I think they said they were willing to do some type of test to prove that she is a woman, talking about Macron. But then this case, if I say I think you had some information on something, or I believe you have some information on something, yeah, I don't know if they have too much of a case. As people just said, they have no case. I'm going to show what I talked about earlier. I found this. Her saying she pretty much got a dead man switch. Let me play this.
Ahead this week and sent around a life insurance policy of sorts, a package rather, to people that I trust, a package filled with text messages, emails, private communications, videos, and private legal documents. So if anything happens to me, you guys will know exactly who it is that has been making my life a living hell over the past couple of years. People that are trying to bankrupt me, trying to bankrupt me and my family, that are threatening us, to sue us. Everything that Kanye said was so real, okay? I'm now at that point where you look back and you go, man, Kanye was right. He was really saying something about what it takes to leave, to fight for custody of your own soul. Just leave me alone. Let me say what I believe and you say what you believe. Fight fair. Why do you always have to make this threat to bankrupt people?
Well, it's very clear who she's talking about right there. It's clearly the Tiny Hats. As soon as she said Kanye, it was kind of obvious, but we'll see. I haven't seen too many people able to get away cleanly from them. So we'll see how she's able to move forward. But I forgot to play this earlier. I wanted to play this in connection to the Not Like Us judgment, because the judge made a point also to say the song was ubiquitous, and it also became almost like it just became a thing, if you can describe it that way. And I want to play this because it proved that it wasn't just Negroes running around with this Not Like Us. The reason why the song got so popular is because other demographics started using this as a term for whatever beliefs they have. Not like us. Let me play this.
Jesus Christ is God, and there is no other God. He is part of the Holy Trinity, and any other God is a demon, and it's false. How can you represent the constituents of Ohio who are 64% Christian if you are not a part of that faith? If you are an Indian, a Hindu, coming from a different culture, different religion than those who founded this country, those who grew this country, built this country, made this country the beautiful thing that it is today, what are you conserving? You are bringing change. I'll be 100% honest with you. Christianity is the one truth.
Christian voices should be the main voice of America, and I want to know basically why you seem to be, and I don't mean to be horribly offensive, but why you seem to be masquerading as a Christian.
You familiar with the Ten Commandments?
You call yourself a Hindu, but you also call yourself Christian.
I don't call myself Christian. I call myself a Hindu. I'm not running to be pastor of Ohio. I'm running to be governor of Ohio, and I didn't run to be pastor of America. I ran to be president of the United States of America. What's your faith?
I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus.
Great. Do you believe in the Holy Trinity? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit?
I think a lot of people here do. So
good. And that doesn't make you a polytheist, does it?
Probably not, no.
Great. And so in my faith, I believe there's one true God. He resides in all of us, and he appears in different forms, but it's one true God. So I'm an ethical monotheist. That's the way I would describe my faith. Do you think it's inappropriate for someone who's a Hindu to be, say, a U.S. president?
No, I think it's... No, well... You be honest. Isn't Hinduism?
Because you're an Indian.
Pretty much. I got to put the whole thing. So he pretty much got on that stage and they kept telling him, "You're not like us." So that's why the whites was walking around with those "not like us" shirts. They was talking to everybody else that wasn't them. I'm just centering Kanye BF. I cannot take this serious. People fucking real. Craig says these young Quave dwellers hurt his feelings. Oh yeah. They done told this man in the last year, they've told this man every chance they get, no, you're Indian, you're not us. We don't want you to be running for office here. We don't support you. It's over. It's over. You did all that stuff and it's over. It's this. Oh yeah. I don't have to read this either. We talked about this last year, but now it's just now becoming a real thing. Honestly, New York Attorney General Letitia James criminally indicted. As you know, this is the woman that went after Trump and his businesses, won her case, and then it was rescinded or whatever. And now Virginia is on her ass about doing some of the things she accused Trump with fraud and what she was doing with the home that she owned, where she lied and said that it was a home that she was living in, but she really was renting it out. So she was guilty a little bit of what she was accusing Trump of. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been criminally indicted on federal charges by a grand jury. James, who led a civil fraud investigation against Trump in 2023, was indicted on charges of bank fraud in the Eastern District of Virginia in Alexandria. According to court documents, prosecutors accused James of alleged bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution regarding a mortgage loan for a house in Norfolk, Virginia, the documents state. She literally went after Trump for lying to a bank about how much his building was worth. The bank then said, "We don't mind because he paid us back more than he paid us all the money back with interest." And now you're accused of lying to a bank about a mortgage loan that you had on the house. So in a statement, James accused the president, who recently publicly pressured prosecutors to file criminal charges against her, of a desperate weaponization of our justice system. Pot, meat, kettle. Honorable says, I wonder if his mother is behind him fight to get the politicians for white Americans. He's so embarrassing. Yeah. He also is a dude. He got money. He got time to waste. He wants power, and more influence. He see that when you look at the corporations around the country, majority of them were Indian. The influence is growing. And that's really the main thing to me. A lot of these people, they act like they come in peace to white America, but they know that in reality they're trying to get everybody want a piece of the apple pie. They want their piece of the pie, and they want the biggest piece possible. They want to try and grow and get more of the pie. And I think now you got those people on the right starting to realize that, and they starting to cut them off. If you're not a Christian white male, in particular, a Christian white person, we don't trust you until you truly prove that you're loyal to us. But they on Letitia ass now. I told you gonna go out the rest of them. You see, Keisha Lance Bottoms and all them quiet as hell too. The one in North Carolina, the dude Calvin Braggs, I think is his name. They ain't said nothing in a while. We can skip that. What else we got? I'm not gonna go over this whole case either. I'm gonna read this headline and explain some of this. LA County CEO, $2 million settlement after she said Measure G caused emotional and mental distress. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors unanimously approved a $2 million settlement for the county CEO due to what she called distress caused by Measure G, which turned the selection process for her position into an election. Now listen to what I just said. The position she had in LA County, they turned into a election. So you weren't given this through just hiring, you actually had to be elected. She said that caused me emotional and mental distress and got a $2 million settlement. Because she said it changed her career path and all the other stuff. So basically what happened is they gave the city, the people, the citizens power in that city, and she sued them for $2 million. She got $2 million because that's where the money is coming from. So because they can now vote for this position, she's suing for $2 million. Hey man, get your money, man. I don't even, when I read this case, I'm still confused how it was unanimously approved. I just don't understand. Her name Fiesta Davenport. That's her name. Was appointed county CEO in January 2021, but come 2028, voters will now decide who assumes the job versus what was always been an appointment from the other supervisors. Davenport said in a letter obtained by the Los Angeles Times that the change, which would require her to rerun for her position, and went into effect when Measure G was passed by voters in 2024. The voters passed this, has caused her physical, emotional, and mental distress. The measure, which was approved by the supervisors in a 3-2 vote, also increased the size of the board from 5 members to 9. The settlement decision was made on July 29, 2025. During the closed session, Davenport accepted the $2 million personal payout from the county, and the supervisors feared she would sue the county for allowing the changes to her position. So I'm sorry, she didn't sue the county. They're paying her for this position to not sue, apparently. So because the citizens decided they wanted to vote for this position, she got money from the... All right, man. Get your money, man. Get your money. What we got? I'm gonna save this. I'm not gonna talk about this week. I'm good. What else we got? Hold on. These people prove to us. All right. The story, a little bit of update on the story with Trey Reed, the guy who was found hanging, was accused of being lynched. Some people thought, they said it was a suicide, actually. I saw a report. It wasn't verified, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. They said that Kaepernick's secondary, he invested to get a secondary look at it, autopsy. And they said they may have found some other things, maybe some injuries. They don't know. But they said the family of Trey Reed, new Black Panther, say his death was a lynching and will rally in DSU soon. But I haven't seen any fact of that proven, so I'm not going to go into it. That's just a little update on that. What else we got? Oh, they caught old buddy. They finally caught Derek, the 10 inmates who escaped. He was caught. Let me play this video.
Children's shoes, wigs, clothing, buckets, and tinctures.
And the fact that he actually, they would run around calling this dude, they would run around calling this dude stud face. And it actually turns out they did find him with wigs, so he probably was walking around like a woman. But anyway,
with the names of flavors.
Oh, he was up in here. This is where he was.
Show me where he was.
And the crawl space, where Derek Groves was found hiding in a Southwest Atlanta basement. Authorities tracked him down to Honeysuckle Lane, nearly 5 months after authorities say the 4-time convicted killer climbed through a hole behind a jailhouse toilet and scaled a fence to escape.
What is your reaction to finding out that someone with those kinds of charges was living in your house?
I was shocked. I said, you gotta get the hell out of here.
You gotta get the hell out of here.
The home's owner, Richard McQueen, let us inside. Most of the home's entrances had been breached and the home trashed. McQueen said the tenant was a young woman. He said he wasn't sure when she started renting because he'd been out of town.
They paid rent.
Honorable says, of all the places to be, why Atlanta? He had a good run. A good run. I don't understand. He didn't go far. I just knew there was no way he was still in the South. There's no way he was in the East Coast. I just knew he was going to be somewhere, at least Vegas, at least somewhere like, go to Colorado, go to Like, there's so many places he should never have still been near Alabama, New Orleans. He should have never been in that area. The fact that you just went to Atlanta. And then what's funny is, I don't know if this is true, but I seen somebody say there was a viral clip of I think it was some influencer who said that he saw him in the club in Atlanta the night before he got caught. And it's just like, and then they were saying how the the woman who helped him escape apparently tried to make the call to turn him in, but they know that she apparently tried to help him escape, so now she's going to jail herself. They said that woman that was the picture that was going viral was not her. That wasn't the same woman, but it's just crazy. Arnold says, in the arguing with the woman, so typical of black men, where's the chick? Is they're arguing with the woman, and they're arguing with a woman. Hey, they say he got in an argument with a woman that when he first got out, he had a woman he was dealing with. Let's talk about the fact, and that's a sexuality. I forgot the name of it. Women who are attracted to criminals. This man has been not just charged, not just guilty of 4 murders, and you dealing like, it's just like, what we doing, man? What we doing? But he had a good run. They got his ass, and they about to throw him right back where he was. And this time they're gonna make sure you don't get out. You had one shot. You had one more second chance to get out of the country. Should have been in Maine. You should have been gone. And you went to Atlanta. All right, bro. I told you, Negroes just not good criminals, man. We just not good criminals. What we got here? This might be the last segment. I don't know. How long we been going? Hold on. Yeah, this might be the last segment. We'll see. Let's get to it. Another conversation I want to have right here. This is a question I want. This is a critique that I found online about what black people should do. And this is a man that said this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he is homosexual. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm be honest with you. Every time I see this opinion from a man, that's normally where it comes from. I don't says people be afraid to leave the community behind that needs to be studied. Man, I could tell y'all stories about my hometown. That little hometown, it's a little town. It's no more than, man, there might have been 2,500 people in this, I guess you say, city, town, or whatever you want to call it. And people would leave for years at a time. We hear calls, oh, they doing good, yeah. And they would just end up back in that place. They just wouldn't leave. At least they wouldn't stay away long. People would leave for 5 years, 10 years, and then come right back. But yeah. Kind of 100% homosexual next time. I need him for the words he said, because I've been talking about these academic people for a while, and he pretty much said it's something out loud that need to be addressed. As people did already. People way smarter already done checked this. But he said, there is nowhere for black people to go, by the way. We aren't doing Pan-Africanism because y'all want black men to run it, and that's a non-starter. This is a black man that said this. We aren't doing black nationalism because y'all want black men to run it, and that's a non-starter. So what we doing? Now, I was guessing when I saw that this was supposed to be a critique of black leadership. At least you should have gave some. But this is the craziest shit to see, considering the last black, quote unquote, black movement that existed, that was literally started by women, and how it ended. People bought houses and cars and shit and employed their cousins and baby daddies. So the fact that you're saying black man leadership or running it is a non-starter, considering what we just saw a couple years ago, is crazy. Considering all the movements that have been led to actually have impact over centuries, and who was at the head of those movements, makes it even crazier. So there was a whole bunch of people that was in his quotes, critiquing his stuff and saying some of these gay dudes think that they're white women because the way they talk about black men, you will forget. You would just forget. Now, I'm pretty sure this is an African dude too. But anyway, I want to play this. Look, honorable. Great opening line, LOL. All right. I want to play something. I'm not going to play this whole thing. But Professor Tommy J. Craig demonstrates that despite presenting itself as revolutionary and Marxist, the methods of Black Lives Matter organization ultimately determined its undermined its stated intent, revealing that movement to be more reactionary and anti-militant than transformative. And that's the part that's the most necessary to speak. There has been, obviously through COINTEL movements, the COINTELPRO and all that stuff, there's been this desire to cut the military mindset away from black people. Whenever you see a black person who's super willing to be about certain actions, not just other groups, black people themselves will say that you need to chill out, that you're doing too much. There's this thing now where if you're somebody who's willing to go to the next level, I'm not just talking about violence, but if you're willing to really stand on things and sacrifice, people see you as doing too much now. Anima says, sir, hello, Black Lives Matter worked because there was no black man. Only problem is those black women and queer agendas. Black Lives Matter didn't work. That's the point. You saying it worked because there were no black men. No, it worked. It didn't work. That's the point. They used a black man's death to get attention. How did it work? They used George Floyd to skyrocket into mainstream, a mainstream organization. And it showed that they had no real intent to do anything worth a damn. They made their money and bounced. It didn't work. So let me play some of this.
Chair of Africana Philosophy and Black Male Studies at the University of Edinburgh. His research interests are 19th
I'll skip some of this.
Do we suspend judgment concerning his methods? Do we turn a blind eye and deny a conscientious mind the ability to understand the contradiction in violating constitutional rights to allegedly protect democracy? Of course not. So does the House itself not ask us to revel in a performative contradiction by demanding that we distrust the century-old intention of the United States as a democratic society that can deliver equality to black Americans? We reject such lies because we know that America's rhetoric is a lie. It's false. We can see with our very own eyes that the lives of black people, indigenous people, and Latino immigrants are being violated. And we know from history that the murder of non-white people in America is as American as apple pie. So do the intentions of a white democratic society demand that we ignore its violence? Of course not. So why are we able to look beneath the intentions and the liberal political rhetoric of America to show that the program of racial equality fails to remedy anti-black racism, but we're now told to ignore the concrete contradictions that drove BLM and its exploitation of the black working class in the United States? Why does BLM protest if intentions are all that matter? Surely methods, how we kill people, oppress people, exploit people, matter to what they're protesting about. But they ask to be protected from that very same kind of scrutiny. I have a theory. I truly believe that many people, regardless of skin color, are simply not offended when poor black men and boys are killed. It's normal because we perceive them to be dangerous. I truly believe, as the first speaker says, that when Sean Campbell exposed Patrisse Cullors, one of the co-founders of BLM, for purchasing a $6 million mansion, and the public was made aware that the BLM National Organization circulated an internal strategy memo after Campbell began asking questions, trying to kill his story, and proposed suggestions about how their angle should be to deflate their ownership of the property, they didn't care. They didn't care because black people have never been thought to be capable of leading successful movements for their own freedom. The House focuses on the intention of BLM because black people are imagined to be people that only need effectively ask whites for more freedom or more equality. As the speaker, the floor speaker, said, she learned about BLM. It changed the way that whites perceive racial injustice. That's pretty damn convenient given that black people have been fighting against white people for 400 years in the United States.
Exactly. Arma says that for the amount of money they were able to get out of white America and flip the world on its head, that's kind of working for me. Tell that to the young white conservatives still speaking George Floyd's name. But they're not speaking his name because of Black Lives Matter. Before that became the brand of those protests, people were already around the world talking about that case. Because we saw a man on video die. It had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter and what they were pushing. As a matter of fact, the people who benefited from Black Lives Matter the most were people who were already in corporate America. You started seeing people get roles in these companies and these corporations for relations and race injustice or whatever the title they would give them, which basically mean your job is to make us look like we care about what's going on with black people. Whenever we put out any form of content or PR, we want to make sure we run it past you so you can tell us how black people will view it. And the people that they were asking from this weren't even around black people. These so-called black people that were in these positions didn't give a damn about what black people actually needed and wanted. They were trying to help their homies and friends get jobs. These same people didn't come on platforms and talk down on those other black people. Like they need to listen to them. They're just bootleg Negroes. So no, there was no benefit that came from Black Lives Matter. What Black Lives Matter benefited from is people are okay, like he said, with black men and boys getting gunned down and dying. It's a normal way to make money in this country because everybody profiting from it. But I also want to show this right here. Because another point that he was making is when you take the men out of these movements, it gets rid of the idea. To me, it gets rid of a lot of the backbone. What are you really going to say? And it ain't just having men, is you need the right people in positions of power in order to have real conversations. Will people be honest and say what need to be said? Or will they shut their mouth for $1? Which is what this right here is about. The Congressional Black Caucus's silent partnership with ALPAC. Now, we already know this. And I'm not saying that I don't care about what's going on with Israel-Palestine. It's not the highest level of importance for me. I watch it just to know what's going on in the world. But it's becoming it's a story that it is, obviously, because people see what's going on and you're supposed to ignore it. So this person said the influential group of lawmakers has damaged his reputation as the conscience of the Congress by staying silent on the Gaza genocide. So I only expect the Congressional Black Caucus to speak on stuff that affect Black Americans. But I also understand that historically, the point of this being created was to speak up for injustice. So the fact that because half of the Black Caucus had their campaigns funded by ALPAC, they don't even speak on certain things when it comes to international policies. So the Congressional Black Caucus won't say anything about Israel-Palestine because half of them receive money from them. We've seen many of these so-called the former members of Black Caucus who were once in office lose their jobs because they were willing to stand out and say something. You might not care about him, but Jamal Bowman, he stood on something. They got him up out of there. What's her name? Nina Turner. I forgot the other one's name as well. At least 3 to 4 Black people have lost their positions because they said something about Israel, and then Israel funded the campaign of their opponent, Democratic opponent, which is normally another Black person. And the first thing they do when they win the position, they win their seat, they go on social media and they post a statement saying how much they support Israel. Then you find out, oh, this person got funding from ALPAC. They was at the pro-Zionist meetings and all the other stuff. You need people that have a backbone and willing to stand on something. Making this a man-woman thing is just crazy. Because if we look at the politicians right now in certain positions of influence, if I'm not mistaken, most of them are women now. So what we're really talking about? Honestly, I think you need to review your Black man-led movements and cross-reference them with LGBT people of color agendas. Craig says, without Black men, it would be nothing but a bunch of twerking. Let's be honest. That's what the damn Black Lives Matter protests turn into. Gay men and women twerking in front of cops. Like, imagine you watch a Black man get killed by a cop, and your way of protesting the cops is to give them a free show of you shaking your ass. We seen women get butt naked in front of cops and do splits. And it's like, what's the punishment? The cop got a free show. There's a naked Black woman in front of him twerking, but you're protesting him because a Black man was killed by a cop. I don't understand. What's the punishment? You get a free show. Honestly, your statement is why I don't care about the Section 2 of the Voters' Right Act being reviewed by the Supreme Court. Having Black politicians who refuse to advocate for us is useless. And that's what I was going to talk about too. And I'm glad you brought it up because I can just talk about it now. Where is it right here? Where is this? Here you go. Because I'm not going to do the rest of this stuff. I'll do this next week, I think. I need this too. All right. Well, Honorable is speaking about parties brace for a political future without the Voting Rights Act. After the Supreme Court appeared poised to weaken a key position of the landmark civil rights law, both parties begun to reckon with the uncertain future. After the Supreme Court appeared ready to dismantle one of the remaining provisions of the Voting Rights Act, the Democrats and Republicans began to reckon with the political future that could see the balance of power in Congress tip decisively toward the GOP and lead to future entrenchment of and polarization in states across the country. For 60 years, the Voting Rights Act had been a singular force in American politics. Despite recent court cases that have weakened the law, it is still one of the most influential regulations for shaping congressional and state legislative maps, expanding representation and voter participation in minority communities. Courts have required states to draw congressional districts that allow minorities voters to elect the candidates of their choice, often leading to majority minority districts that have favored Democrats. But on Wednesday, the Supreme Court heard arguments in a case testing whether incorporating race in the redistricting as protected by the Voting Rights Act runs afoul of the Constitution. In their questioning, the majority of justices appeared poised to rule that lawmakers cannot consider race or to sharply limit their ability to do so. We already knew that this is the plan that came out the affirmative action, that came out the DEI stuff. Now they're coming out to the voting rights. They want anything that has to do with race and redefine it through the Constitution, saying that's not fair. You shouldn't be able to use race to make these decisions. Red line redistricting places, giving people the opportunity to have people represent their particular district based on race. So more than likely they're going to win this, and I agree with Honorable. It doesn't really make the biggest change if the people you're voting for are neglecting the people that they're supposed to be doing something for. If the whole purpose of me voting for you is because you're supposed to help my community, and you get the position and you make all the excuses in the world why you can't, then you're useless. We may as well just F it. Just do this within. Just don't even worry about the political side of it. Just worry about the other side of it, where we as a community just do stuff and build on our own. Because relying on y'all to do what you're supposed to do and not making excuses every damn left turn, it's like, what's the point? So the change will force out people in the entire. I'm sorry, I can't see the damn screen. The change will force out people to center lineage. I'm here for it. No more "we are the same" rhetoric. Y'all seen that? What's that girl name? Mana Leo. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. That we all black because cops see us that way is done, ain't it? Let me show this right quick. Stephen A. Smith claims he is being canceled after Representative Jasmine Crockett comments. The ESPN host defended his criticism of the Texas Congresswoman. Let me play what Stephen A. had to say about Jasmine Crockett.
Crockett chooses to express herself. I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying, that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituency. Because like Joe Manchin said, he's there to represent, or was there for 15 years to represent, the people of West Virginia. She's supposed to be there to represent the people of Texas. I don't know. Maybe that just sounds ignorant because it's so simple. But it ain't that damn complicated. We make it complicated. Damn, it's frustrating. It really can be.
So that's so this is Stephen A. going on his political run. Honorable says she disappointed me so bad. She so bad couldn't finish the interview. So Stephen A. said those comments would set a fire for people who support her, and he said that they were trying to get him canceled. He is speaking up after the backlash for comments he made about Representative Jasmine Crockett, saying he is being unfairly targeted. During his SiriusXM show, Straight Shooter with Stephen A. Smith, he responded to critics who accused him of disrespecting Crockett. He complained the outrage over his remarks had gone too far. The one thing that would never happen, I would never succumb to, I would never surrender to, is somebody intimidating me and trying to rally folks against me to quell what I have to say. Bump that. I ain't built that way. Unless it's that white woman at ESPN who told you to shut up and you got suspended for a week and then you apologized and didn't say no more about it. You know, you told black people, I forgot, it's something that happened like 2015, 2016, something. He said some comment on air and a lot of black people got mad and started chastising him, pretty much asking for him to apologize for that or something. And he was like, pretty much kiss my ass. But when that white woman said that you said something that hurt her feelings, when you talked about people who are in abusive relationships need to make sure they do everything possible to get away from that person. And when they can't get away from them, make sure you do everything possible to quell all the situations where you don't end up in a situation where they're angry with you or violence comes on you. And your coworker, or should I say one of your peers at your company, called you out, had you suspended, and you didn't say nothing. You apologized and came back, but you know. Honestly, what happened to him being a sports commentator? More money in politics. There's way more money in politics and way more people. In sports, he's as big as he's ever going to be in sports, in the sports world. He's actually on the downswing. People are starting to care less about his sports opinions. And although most people who are in the sports won't care about his political opinions, he's now reaching new people talking about certain people. Like he know when he said it's about Jasmine Crockett, even though I feel the same about her, I'm not the biggest supporter of Jasmine Crockett as far as what she do for her job and the stuff she says. He knows what audience this is going to attract. So this is him trying to grow his audience. And I do still feel like it's not crazy to think that he might try to make a run for a seat or some political seat. Honorable says another black man running to the whites, claiming a black woman is trying to hurt him. Shocker. Yeah, people ask for people to stop watching the show and stuff. To call that for a rally for me to be canceled, that's shameful, he said, adding that he has no plans to back away from his platform. Smith then replayed the original clip and set off the controversy. In it, he questioned if Crockett's language, often aimed at Republicans, is helping her district. When are you representing 750,000 people? That's not going to get you anywhere. But so do you think that if he tries to run, that the whites would treat him like they did Indian dude? It depends. If he tries to cloak himself in that's the wrong one too. I got the wrong one. If he tried to cloak himself in Americanness, particularly black Americanness, that he might be able to get through. But the second they find out if they find out he's immigrant, I don't know. If they find out his people from the islands, I don't know. Let me show this last thing with Stephen A. right here.
Are you going to say something?
I just want to say.
There it is.
I'm trying to be very respectful to everybody because they deserve it.
Why?
Let me say that. No, because you deserve it. But let me say this. I don't think Washington understands how ticked off we truly are. Think about the conversation that we're having right now. You brought up the single-payer system, emulating Canada. You know, we're looking at a president that just gave $20 billion to Argentina. Mm-hmm. We're hearing about or witnessing what I consider to be a retribution tour. And even though to some degree I don't blame him because of how people went after him, still it appears to be counterproductive. We're listening to this kind of stuff while a young man walked up to the microphone and said that he had to leave here to go and work on DoorDash to help pay for his daughter's tuition. Meanwhile, everybody up here getting paid. But he ain't.
You can't tell me that ain't somebody trying to run for office. Trying to make himself seem like the everyday man, populist talking point. Yeah, we see it.
Is this kind of stuff right here. That's how.
And look at his face. Look at his face, y'all. He know it. He knows what Stephen A. is doing. He know. I forgot his name. The Indian. His Rashid. I forgot his name. He knows what Stephen A. is doing. He looked right into the camera that this Negro is going to try to run for office. Honestly, so many of the young white Some of the young white conservatives are calling out the black conservatives' grift. So I don't see this going well for him. We'll see. Will says, all is missing is Bernie Mac as the VP. Oh, man. Ro Connor, thank you. Ro Connor, that's his name. He see it. He know exactly. He had some backlash a few years ago. He did something that pissed off the progressives. Oh, I think it was during that vote for healthcare. He didn't do it because he followed behind AOC, and they were pissed off with him too. Or maybe he did break off. I can't remember. But they all three of these people know what Stephen A is doing right now. That's why he's looking at the crowd, looking at the camera, the reaction. They know what he's doing.
Now you know, and I'm not accusing any of you directly or personally of feeling this way. I'm just talking about the apparatus that is Washington, the nation's capital. This is why you have so many Americans, excuse my language, so pissed off at Washington, because somehow, some way you get to have these conversations, engage in specific elements of it to talk about what we need to do to get things better. Our debt is $37.8 trillion. Somehow, some way, the taxpayers been paying this, been throwing money, because we all look at our check, and it's been going to the government. And somehow, some way, you're supposed to be doing something constructive and productive enough to make sure that we don't have that kind of deficit. It isn't happening. A government shutdown is going on right now. A man has to work on DoorDash when he's really an air traffic controller that we applauded. And we're up here talking about how much some money is going to cost. And the only person that don't have a check coming is him. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a break.
Stephen A is a theater kid. He's such a theater kid. He's so dramatic in what he's.
All right.
Oh, Lord. I'm telling you, Honorable, he's going to run for office. He's going to do it. He's so arrogant. He's going to do it. And I got this right here from Anthony Brian Logan. Well, he didn't post this, but I saw this because he left a comment on it. Because while we were talking about black male leadership and whether or not you want to follow a movement made by him, I was like, well, if you get rid of that, you get rid of the radical beliefs. You get rid of the actual, everything gonna be get along if you do that. Honorable says, I'm so tired of hearing about the American debt. Who's the bill collector? China? That's what they'll tell you, just China. But let me play this right quick.
The actual number of blacks who are committing murder is more than whites. Right. And whites are significantly greater,
60% compared to 13%
percentage of the population. Yeah.
So if you just,
I'm so sick of these lies, these talking points. How do these people consider themselves high IQ when they don't know how to read graphs and understand numbers? It's crazy.
If you take that, then you took a law like Deuteronomy 21, which is a just law that God enacted through Moses. The law was that if you had a rebellious son, you have a child they're coming up into their manhood and they're rebellious, they don't listen. He lists some characteristics and even though they're disciplined, they will not turn. He says the fathers to bring them out into the town square. This is a rebellious son, and then they stone him to death. They kill him.
And an armed robber would certainly be one of those.
Oh, absolutely. Armed robber, all the ghetto
violent
culture.
crimes.
Basically, take ghetto culture, it would describe this to a T. If you did that over 3 generations, how much violent crime would you have in the 3rd and 4th generation? Much, much less.
Now, it's funny. This is what gets me, because once again, these people, they just lie about numbers and graphs and stuff, but it's whatever at this point. I'm used to it. It still shocks me that the people who have committed the most violence consistently call other people uncivilized. It is hilarious. That same bullshit religion you're pumping, and that's not the Bible, the religion you're pumping has killed more people than you can imagine. These people they're just liars. They're just snakes. Why y'all giving Pastor attention? I'm skip this stuff. The fact that it's running to podcasting is telling. Honorable said that. Chris says, every time I see a cage talking at 350 stuff, 3015 stuff, 3060, I mean, I'm so glad that nature is doing this thing. Exactly. Like, imagine saying this when we want to go based off these numbers, these lies, the numbers that y'all just constantly misinterpret. What do we say about pedophilia? How about, let's go to West Virginia for a week and see how much violence we see. Let's go out to the boonies in Utah and see what we see. Y'all. I understand because y'all have done a great job over the last 80 years using propaganda of only putting crime associated with black people on the news. But we know now, we have the internet. We know your neighborhoods and cities that are all white that are filled with gangs. Y'all have gang violence amongst you. We know it. And not only that, y'all travel to other countries to commit crime because that's how violent y'all are. You sick, twisted bastard boy. But Honorable says we have to stop engaging with white immigrants. If their family came through the Castle Garden and Ellis Island, we shouldn't be talking about our progress with them. Chris, you talk about Virginia, West Virginia, and Utah. That's when they're going to start gaslighting. Exactly. They just be lying. Y'all been talking about Chicago for a decade, which is funny because Chicago's crime is lower than it was in the 90s. And it's lower in 2025 than it was in 2015. Y'all just be using these talking points and y'all don't update your talking points, man. But Brian Anthony Lowe said that these gay dudes always got obsession with black men. Oh man. And this goes back to another point when I was talking about the necessity for the military mindset, the militant mindset. This dude right here, Philosopher King, shout out to him. He said, black men in the U.S. have a very warlike culture, and we should cherish and be proud of it. And somebody posted something to, yep, have you heard of Robert Charles? Militancy is baked into our DNA. And he went through this guy right here from Wikipedia, his history, Pine Bluff, Mississippi, Robert Charles. And he went through the history of the stuff he had to do to protect us. I told you, we don't have to read this because I talked about the stories. I hate the fact that we allow that narrative to exist, that back in the day, white man used to be able to just come up and tell a black man or a black woman what to do. And it's like, that ain't quite how it was. Like, yes, it happened, but it was not like niggas just did what they did and just kept it moving. People were violent. Niggas used to commit stuff and they had to skip town because they knew what was going to happen. Like, when you talk about these so-called race riots, it wasn't just black men and women black men just laying over letting people get killed. Like they caught bodies too. They did what they had to do to protect their families. And sometimes they had to leave afterwards. Sometimes they took their family with them, and sometimes they had to go create a life before they could bring their family to it because they were already in a situation where they were stable. Like you had black men who had to go away from their family for years to try and build a whole new life so they can bring their family with them. They had to sacrifice, man. Like, come on. Honestly, I like that spin. But yeah, he said, yeah, and there's many like him. In Black American folklore, the figure of the outlaw has always been prominent going back to African folk tales of the slave era, which is why, unfortunately, we got behind stuff like NWA and before that, the Panthers. The Panthers were able to usurp and gain more esteem amongst the public, especially amongst the younger audience, than the older audience did with the civil rights movement. Because it was the rebellious spirit. It was the F this, bump this system, we sick of it, and it was rowdy. People respect that more. Some people feel like you get the respect with fear. Some people feel like you get the respect with the ability to work with people, but we've done it all. And at some point you got to just come to a conclusion. Let's run through these last topics. Ghana's president calls slave trade greatest crime, pushes UN for reparations. I guess, how many times have this been done, by the way? Not necessarily in front of the UN, but like, okay. Ghana. Then I want to show this here. Excuse me. Sorry, let me play this. I'm not playing the whole thing. But this person right here I'm about to show, Mark Gordon said, keyword is trade. Shake my damn head. Facts. What up, Mark? Now, the next video I'm going to show, it's going to be short. I'm not going to play the other one. The other one's 6 minutes. I'm going to play the 30-second one where basically this woman was denied a job because they thought she was Black American. But she was given a job after they discovered that she was a biracial Nigerian. So let me just play this clip here.
You don't hire Black people, but you will hire Africans. Why is that? Because I go to, even when you thought I was African American, I still was a student at an elite university. But you didn't take a chance on me until me, an African, was here. And I knew some other friends that worked for them, and they were all like Turkish, European, all these other things. But I knew African Americans that applied and never got the job. And it's still one of the things I think about at my college, because I still have people that will treat me badly for months, find out I'm Nigerian, or see my Instagram, find out I'm Nigerian and treat me way fucking better. Or find out I'm half white and be so excited to be around me. But they didn't treat me with respect until they knew that.
It's almost like they don't see you as the same, which unfortunately does Monoleo artist, after she made the Sexy Solon song, and she got a lot of mixed reviews from certain people. The ADOS FBA people were saying, we don't need all those other flags. We done with the flat blackness, black unity thing as far as lineage. But she went on the Breakfast Club to clear up what she believes.
Add something of our own. So you see me cloaked in the Black American Heritage flag in the video, but then you also see the flags behind me, the ethnic flags behind me stitched together, Nigerian flags, and and I wanted to make sure what was important to me was, like I said, to promote Black unity and Black community, because under the umbrella of white supremacy and racism, we are all Black here in this country, and cops pull us over, they're not asking you, hey, are you Jamaican?
That's a fact.
Where you from?
That's a fact.
I'm so sick and tired of it. Like, why are we basing our whole lineage off of how white people treat you, or our cops treat you, or how anybody? Like, you should define yourself not just based off of the trouble you go through. Which is why I said a long time ago that Black people have built our culture and our identity through our trauma. It's sad.
They're not asking that. You just Black. So.
And it's not true, by the way. There's plenty of stories I've seen. I'm gonna say it's anecdotal. It's not a study done, but there's plenty of people that said that they got pulled over once the cops saw their ID and they spoke with an accent, whether they were Jamaican or whatever. The police treated them differently. I've seen, they've said this.
I wanted to detail these shared experiences across the diaspora, and I know it has upset a couple. It
upset a couple. They don't want to support you no more. And this is not to say that because immigrants that come from other country, so-called Black immigrants that come from other country, are treated better or different from Black Americans, that we shouldn't like Black immigrants. That's not the point. You shouldn't take that out on them or have some level of distaste for them. The point of the matter is we need to acknowledge that there is a difference of how people are treated, because one, people are owed a debt and are proof of a crime every time they are seen by these people. When they see you, immediately their history is right there in front of them. They know exactly how you got here, and they know how wicked they are. So, no, they don't want to be around you. It's the same reason why they're trying to get all these courses and stuff out of the schools. They don't want to keep reminding their youth of how wicked they are. It's hurting morale. We need to pull this out of the school system so they can put esteem back into them. But anyway, speaking of that, I forgot this dude's name. He's an artist, I think out of Nigeria. He's the one that flipped that song by Sade, I think. Sade, how you say her name? Yeah.
Americans are seriously dragging Rema, and the reason.
Honorable says, key example or problem of our people keep repeating shit they heard another goofy say. It's like Malcolm X House Ninja story being treated like it's historically accurate. Oh man, yeah, the same way they keep flipping that Malcolm X quote about the Black woman being the most disrespected woman in the country. They don't listen to the rest of that speech. What he said before and afterwards, they don't listen to that part.
Black Americans are seriously dragging Rema, and the reason will shock you. So Rema just dropped the music video for his hit song Fun, and his fans were hyping his looks. Everyone was saying that he's a star in the making, and then the internet flipped. Black Americans started dragging him, saying he's stealing their swag, that he's cosplaying Lil Wayne from the 2010s. They said the sagging jeans and the tight top and face cap is from their culture, that Africans should embrace their own culture. And then I'm wondering, since when did wearing jeans and face cap became exclusive to a certain culture? Everyone just wants a piece of the credit. Most black Americans came from Africa, so their culture is ours too.
I ain't even got to repeat it. Their culture is ours too. All right. Last thing I want to talk about. Hold on, y'all. There's some controversy going on right now. And Burkina Faso, the country that I found out existed like a year ago, right above Nigeria. They just closed their citizenship to Black Americans. Honorable says nothing but destiny swapping. Hey, what the whites call it, the replacement theory. So Burkina Faso, they just closed the citizenship to Black Americans. To me, it's pretty obvious why. They don't have infrastructure, whatever. But I want to play what this young lady had to say about this.
He has rescinded his offer for Black African Americans to gain or maintain citizenship in Burkina Faso. And there's a lot of other.
Also, what the hell is a Black African American? Like, what is that? Are you just saying words more than once? We were planning to run. They're so bad.
Cultures that are confused as to why Black Americans are celebrating this. Now, I need y'all to understand that Judas looked exactly like the other disciples. Exactly.
Damn, we Judas?
What is she talking about? Judas looked exactly like the other disciples. What we're seeing right in front of us happening in Africa is something that our ancestors have wished for centuries, for eons, right? And now that it's happening, it's kind of like the situation where you have been bitten by a zombie, so to speak. And you know that there's only a certain amount of time before.
I would say, are there white African Americans? So you two are triggered by that. Yeah, I don't. These people, it's the same reason why they say Black Africans. And it's like, now I'm not old. But when I was growing up, African was its own race. Like, African is a race. It used to be a race. Now African has been replaced with Black. So now they have to call themselves Black African. But you're the majority. You don't need to do that. You're African. It's the same thing. Why do you call yourself a Black Jamaican? Like, it's Jamaica. You don't need to do that. The person who need to hyphenate their name are Indian or Asian or whatever. They should be Indian Jamaican or Asian Jamaican. You're just Jamaican. That's the point. But, you know, is what I don't need to say Black African American. I'm Black American. I don't need to. You could choose Black American or African American. You don't need to say Black African American. That don't make sense.
Or the infection that starts on your arm where you've gotten bitten at will spread through your bloodstream to your heart and then to your brain. So in a split few seconds, you have a decision. You can either cut off your arm to prevent the blood flow from getting from the infection to the remainder of your body, or you can stay attached and allow it to get to the remainder of your body and to destroy you and eat you alive. Right now, with the way that things are moving in the world, America is the zombie that bit. And Black African America is the arm. The thing about African Americans is we always gonna be good, no matter what. We know that. Which is why you see a lot of us saying, please close your borders. Do not, and I mean do not, I don't care how much they beg, do not open that citizenship up to us until you have certainty that Burkina Faso, the Sahel states, and several parts of Africa is going to be safe. The reason for that is because we know that by them not putting a tax or anything on the citizenship going to Burkina Faso and several other countries in the surrounding nations, there is an intention there to utilize us as a staff that they can wield in whatever direction to destabilize that country, the same way they did Libya, the same way they did Liberia, the same way they did Sudan, Somalia, and several other places in Africa.
So it's not leadership. It's Mark said, well, then who is Peter? Who is Peter? Yeah, who is Peter?
Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are sitting at the apex of the pyramid that is bringing to life what our ancestors have begged for centuries. We're seeing the world order change, where the last shall be first and the first shall be last. And in doing so, America is going to use whatever they can get. Even if that means kidnapping our babies, doing whatever they can to try and utilize us to hurt them.
What? I mean, on one hand, is she just pretty much saying what I've been saying, which is America is trying to gain soft power in Africa by building a relationship between Black Americans and Africans? I mean, I don't know if I disagree with it. I agree with that part, but the way she's phrasing it is like Black Americans are the actual threat and not simply the corrupt African leadership. But okay. To this one, the next controversy is, y'all remember that lady a few years ago, Martha, acting like she was betrayed? Exactly. I get what you're saying now, Peter. Okay. Acting like Peter as in disciples. Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah.
So the story is there's a coalition of unpaid nurses and doctors and midwives in Ghana that have been protesting and being vocal. And I even have a petition going to the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Health to ensure that they get paid.
10 months.
10 months of non-payment. 10 months of non-payment. As we all know, in the States, most people do not even have 1 month or one paycheck that they can go without being without a place to stay and without food to eat.
Now, that is from the controversy around this lady here. You remember her? She was the woman who was at the head of the African Union for a little while. She was going around America. She was doing her speaking engagements. She was saying how Africa needs to be the head, honcho, and how President Trump need to bring his ass to Africa, and we shouldn't just always go begging to America. She was talking that real Pan-African stuff, right? Well, she started this website here and this company really here, and she asked for donations for a pathway to citizenship. Now, there are people who quit their jobs, move to these countries, and now they're, out on their ass now because she pretty much has been accused of being a scammer. And for 10 months, people have not been getting anything they were supposed to be getting. So you see here, it says, welcome to African Diaspora Development Institute, an institute designed to be a home for African diaspora. Defines African diaspora as people of African descent living outside of Africa. 400 years of separation between the Africans on the continent and their brothers and sisters outside of Africa must come to an end. For far too long, the rule of divide and conquer has been effectively applied to us. Our beloved continent of Africa has been painted as a dying and diseased continent. This could not possibly be further from the truth. Africa is a rich, beautiful, vibrant, energetic, and incredibly blessed continent with every natural resource that we could ever need, the world could ever need. No other continent on earth comes anywhere near Africa's riches. It is precisely because of these riches that Africa has been victimized by the West and now East for so long. Honorable says America has nothing to do with the side quest Africans have with tricking us off this land. That 2030 agenda is not backed by America. We were used in the Chinese negotiations. No, America is definitely trying to do it. America been doing it since the 50s. Honestly, they just simply ratcheted it up the last 15, 20 years now. Which is why you looking at it from the standpoint of what Africa's doing as far as them trying to get leeway in tourism, building a certain way how they're viewed image-wise outside of Africa. Outside of Africa, becoming the cool kids basically. But America has sent musicians, especially to Africa, for decades, performing concerts and all the other stuff to try and build relations. They just What America is doing now is they're introducing African music to us. They're introducing their sound, their entertainment to us to try and help build that bridge. Honestly, I don't believe in that. Is Africa is promising Chinese we will boost their economy. I don't believe it. Africa is promising Chinese we will boost their economy. I believe that's part of it. We saw it kind of made it obvious. But also with this woman here, Dr. Akina, let me make sure I get a name. Chinabari. Forgot how he said her first name. I think it's Akina. Yeah, Arikana, Dr. Arikana, right? This is her. Now, she went to college in America, obviously. She was studied in America. But after her studies, she stayed in America for another 29 years. Yeah, she stayed in America for another 29 years. I got that from, what's his name? I forgot how he said his name. He do the black American, I don't know if he's black American. The black dude who does content where he live in Africa now. He goes back and forth between Africa and America. I forgot his name, my bad. But she lived in America for another 29 years after her studies. So you go, you're a Zimbabwean woman, I think. You come to America for college, for studies. You graduate. You stay for another 29 years. And then you start this Pan-African thing where you want black Americans to go back to Africa. But you didn't go back to your home country. So while you trying to send them over there, you want to stay here. So what we talking about? Because her accent and all the other stuff, I thought she was from the continent. Obviously, I knew she studied in America, or at least the West, particularly America, obviously, because of her accent. But I didn't know that she was here for 29 years after studies. Like, you a fraud then, just off of that. Afrobeats ain't no damn bridge. That shit is a joke. Hey, you'd be surprised by how many people just want to vibe. How many people will... You got a lot of black people, because black people are very accepting of stuff, even if they don't like it or something. If people are told, not just black people, if people are told, hey, you're supposed to enjoy this music and dance. When they go out to a get together, a shindig, a party at the club, and they play those songs, they're gonna just try to have a good time. And over time, people will just like some of it. So it is what it is. Craig says they've been doing that since the apartheid, I believe. They further than that, like I said, what's his name? The legendary jazz musician. They used to send him over there. They used to send him to Kenya. They used to send him to East African places. They've been doing that for years, trying to incorporate culturally music, trying to use hip hop. They use hip hop now. You can look this up. Hip hop. Hip hop pioneers are now being pushed to go to Africa and build these bridges. Like it's a thing. I saw her arguing with two Pan-African goofs. Oh, what up, Dre? Yeah, rip to D'Angelo, man. We lost one. Rest in peace to him. I don't know, says this Apple will be the Apple will be superstars. Flatline in America. It's not the bridge. It's the bridge. It's falling. The bridge is falling. Hey man, we'll see. I think they pretty much given up on it because didn't what's his name release another album? It didn't do too well, but we'll see. But yeah, she's been called a scammer. I don't know if that's true or not. Back to Africa channel, Back to Africa. The dude he didn't upload for a little couple months. He uploaded recently at a live stream, I believe, and he had people come up and give their testimonies to her, saying that calling her a scammer pretty much, saying she didn't fall through with some of the stuff she was supposed to do. Yeah, man. She was talking that good shit too, though. It's unfortunate. I think that's all we got this week. I'm gonna save some of this for next week. Hold on, let me make sure. I don't think I got nothing else. Yeah, I think that's all we got. Next week, I definitely will be live. I said that and then I'll go live, but I will be live. Things are in order now, so I will be live again next week. I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm trying to upload more during the week as well. But yeah, man, thank y'all for coming through. Appreciate the support. Shout out Kiefer. Shout out y'all for coming through. Shout out Regina on the playback. Shout out to Honorable. Shout out to Dre. Shout out to Craig. I'm gonna say it's Jim Jones all over again with our elders. Hopefully not. Hopefully things get better. If you can't speak just negatives, you got to try to speak positives because you got to bring things into fruition. The tongue is a mighty sword. But thank y'all for coming through. Appreciate the support. As always, be sure to subscribe if you're not, share it if you can, and like it on your way out. As always, thank y'all so much for coming through and spending some time to talk and conversate a little bit. And as always, all praise to the Most High. And peace, man.